Hi, welcome to Caregiver Cast. I'm Mary Elaine Petrucci, your host. My guest today is Martin Salama, who will be talking to us about the Warrior's Life Code. I know I was a little perplexed about that as well, but Martin will definitely explain how it relates to caregiving. So before I formally introduce Martin, I will read his biography and give you some idea of who he is before we start the interview. Martin Salama is known as the architect of the Warrior's Life Code. He specializes in helping people frustrated in life to quickly shift their mindset to uncover their greatness so they can live their true potential and enjoy life. An example of what he's achieved is a client like Roberta, who lost her six-figure job due to COVID and came to Martin depressed and felt very lost. Within a short time, she had, quote, direction, focus, and a new renewed energy around all the possibilities that she could pursue and getting back on track to enjoy life. The key to his success is he's mastered the ability to live incredibly full every day, which he turned into the acronym L.I.F.E and created the Warrior's Life Code coaching program. Welcome, Martin, to Caregiver Cast. So good to have you here.
Thank you, Mary Elaine. And it's such an honor to be here with you. Thank you so much for inviting me along.
Most definitely. I know you normally work with other types of clients, but when we met, we felt like your life code would be really beneficial to caregivers. So can you please explain what the Warrior's Life Code means?
Sure. Thank you so much for asking. So I created the Warrior's Life Code over the last 10 years of my life. It goes back to when I was a child. When I was 5 years old, when I was 10 years old, I was walking home from school with one of my older sisters. And as I got closer to home, there was a school bus stopped in front of my house.
Mm-hmm.
And as I got closer, I saw blood on the floor, and my mother came running out of the house, holding my 5-year-old brother in her hands, ran into the car, and drove away. My sister and I looked at each other, not understanding what's going on. And we saw the bus driver crying. As we found out later, my brother, 5-year-old, dropped something in front of the bus, picked it up. The bus driver didn't see him and drove.
Oh my gosh.
Unfortunately, 4 days later, my brother succumbed to his injuries and died.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. It was the most tragic day of my life. But looking back now, it was also a defining moment in my life. At that moment, I told myself a story that now that I'm the only son and I have 4 older sisters, my job is to make sure that my parents are always happy. They never said that to me. I'm a 10-year-old boy, and that's what I'm thinking. So I automatically became a people pleaser, right? And that kept going through my life. As I got married, I was a people pleaser to my wife. I tried to be a people pleaser to please my parents, please my wife, do things that I thought they wanted me to do. And I realized as years later that I was not making anybody happy, least of all myself. Right. But I rationalized that I was doing this to keep the peace around, to have harmonious. And what I learned is, and this is something that I've trademarked, is that rationalize is really 2 words: rational lies. You're lying to yourself that it's rational to do things that go against what you really believe is right. So
That is so profound. Say that again, Martin. That was really very profound.
Right. So I took the word rationalize and broke it down into 2 words.
Okay.
Rational lies. You tell yourself the lies when you're doing something and saying, well, I really know I shouldn't be doing this, or it goes against my values, but I'm going to do it anyway. You give yourself the permission to do something that you know you shouldn't be giving you permission to. So you're making it rational that it's okay to do it. So you rationalize.
Mm, perfect. I love that. I can relate to what you're saying because I did lose my brother when he was 15.
Mm,
And I tried for a while to be like him. And then I realized I really can't do that.
right. You have to be yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but I did also try to be really giving with friends, and they had to remind me to stop,
Right. Right.
that,
So
I had to wait to allow them to do some things for me.
gotcha. Gotcha.
Mhm,
So that's so important. I'm glad you had such support around you to help you get through that.
mhm,
For myself, I
definitely.
ended up becoming somebody because I wanted to make everybody happy. I became a control freak. I took
Mm,
everything personally, and I had a very
mm,
short temper, to the point that I would overreact to almost everything, to the point that I was like a nuclear reactor, that I would leave
wow.
fallout all
Mm,
over the place, that I'd have to go back later and clean up by apologizing, by making amends, by whatever.
mhm,
And fast forward to 2008, my wife and I were working on a project for about 5 years to build a multi-million dollar tennis and health club in New Jersey.
mhm,
We finally get all of the city approvals to build in the
mhm.
summer of 2008, go to the bank, and we put in $3 to $4 million of our money and other people's money on the hopes of getting the approvals.
Right.
Go to the bank, and the bank says, "Yeah, we're not lending right now. The financial world's about to fall apart." A month later,
Mm,
2008, the financial world fell apart. We lost absolutely every penny we had. Not only our money, the money we borrowed, the investors' money, and everybody else's money, like that.
mm,
This put me into a depression for a little while. It
I
was a
could understand.
situational depression, but
Mm,
I was depressed.
mhm,
And it took me about a year to work my way through this. I was going, and during that time, I reached out to a life coach just to get some focus on where to go next.
mhm,
As I got through this, I realized I loved what the life coaching was doing for me and how I could
mm,
help other people. So I decided to become a life coach. At about the exact same time, my wife came to me on our 24th wedding anniversary and said, "I'm done. I want a divorce."
mm,
Right. So here I am going into life coaching school to reinvent myself.
mhm,
And I say, okay, great. This could be an opportunity to help myself and help my marriage.
mhm,
Okay. So I start going into coaching, and I
mhm,
and I resisted the divorce. I didn't want to get divorced. I was afraid because I had so little self-esteem, so
mm,
little self-worth, that I thought nobody would ever love me again. So better to figure out how to get this person to love me again than to go back out there again. That was my mindset. So I
mhm,
started going to life coaching school, and I realized that the things that were holding me back were also a problem in the marriage, but were a problem for me. And I need to fix them, not for my wife, not for my children, for me.
mhm.
Those were the things I said before. When she told me that, I was devastated. I was
Oh,
angry. I was frustrated. I was hurt. I was lost.
oh,
Right.
how awful.
Yeah. Because 25 years we were together. At the end of the day, when we finally got divorced officially, we were 25 years. And looking back, I don't regret it because I have 4 beautiful children,
Mhm,
7 grandchildren, one on the way. So I'm ecstatic. I love my family.
mhm.
But I also learned about all these things I mentioned before, that I was a control freak,
Trophy.
and I needed to change for myself.
Mhm,
And that's what I did. And originally I called myself your divorce recovery coach because I help people to recover from the emotional pains of divorce so that they
mhm,
can move on with their lives. No
mhm.
matter which side, if you asked for the divorce or you were asked for the divorce, you
Mhm.
had pain.
Oh,
Nobody goes
sure.
through an easy divorce. There's no such thing. There is something there underneath it that had to happen.
Mhm,
So I did that, and I was pretty good at it. I was good at it. And then I started realizing there's something missing in my life.
mhm,
And I said, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was overweight, the heaviest I ever was in my life. I said, okay, I got to start losing weight, but I have to make the right choices. I wasn't making the right choices before, and I chose to not make them. It's not that I couldn't do it. I just chose not to. So I
Mm,
started working out. I started eating better. I started going back to reading the positive books and doing the positive things. I even started meditating. And
mhm,
I never really did great with the meditation because I got some ADD up here. It's hard to keep me focused. But one day when I was doing this meditation, I had this download of information. I realized all the things that I've been doing had gotten me to the point that I was living my best life. I was
mm,
smiling all the time. I had a positive mental attitude. I was gracious. I was grateful, everything you could think of. I said,
mhm.
you know what? I need to share this with the world. And I had a download of this on this meditation of like 2 hours of writing. And at the end of it, I said,
Wow.
okay, live your best life. And I said, let me work on it. I love wordplay. So I
Mhm.
said, okay, life, live incredibly full every day.
I love it.
I was like,
It's
now
so
that's what I want to
perfect.
do. And I would meet people, I'd see people I know, and they go, how's things? I go, life is great. He says, I go, I'm living life. Well, what does that mean? I said, I live incredibly full every day. And I started telling that to people, and people were like, hey, there's the life guy. And I wasn't doing anything coaching. Then COVID hits,
Mhm.
and I see everybody worrying about what's going to happen in the world. And
Oh,
I wasn't worrying because of what I
wow.
had gone through for the last
Mhm.
10 years. I had changed myself from a worrier to a warrior,
Warrior. Oh, I love that.
right? So
Oh
I
my
said, wait a
gosh.
minute, that's what I want to be. I want to
Mhm.
be the architect of the warrior's life coach. So what's a warrior? A warrior is someone who's gone through adversity.
Mhm.
Now, have you ever met somebody who has not gone through adversity?
No.
No, no, there's not everybody goes through it. But it's how they come out the other side.
Mhm.
Are they stronger for it? Have they learned from it? If they are, they're a warrior. Man, woman, child, doesn't matter.
Mhm.
I had somebody tell me recently, "You sure you want to call it warriors? I mean, women are going to get taken aback, thinking it's not for them." I said, "Oh no, the women are
Mm-mm.
the strongest warriors of all." And they're
We
like,
are.
"Oh,
Thank you.
okay, there you go, there you go." So that's how I came up with the Warriors Life Code. And since then, I've taken the word life and come up with a ton of different acronyms or breakdowns for the acronym.
Mhm.
And I do acronyms all the time because it's a way for people to remember,
Mhm.
when things are going tough, wake up in the morning, be grateful to God or the universe or whatever it is, or your higher power, and say, today, I'm going to live incredibly full every day.
Wow, that is very powerful, Martin. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
explaining. Oh my gosh. So many words of wisdom in there. Um, so thank you for explaining what the Warrior's Life Code really means. So what you've kind of touched on this already. What makes you the authority on this? You've lived it,
So,
right?
yeah. I'm the authority on it because I've lived it. And because of my training as a life coach, I
Mm-hmm.
bring in the skills that I've learned to help people figure out how they can live incredibly full every day by shifting that mindset
Mm-hmm.
from the mindset of lack to the mindset of abundance.
Abundance,
And
right?
and there's a story in the Torah, the Old Testament,
Mm-hmm.
about Jacob and Esau. We
Mm-hmm.
call him Esav in Hebrew, Yaakov and Esav. Okay, so Jacob uh, goes to finds out that his mother finds out that Isaac is going to give Esav the blessing, a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
The mother's afraid that she's going to give him the Abraham blessing, and she tells him, deceive your father, go and make food for him and make like you're your brother and get the blessing. He goes
Mm-hmm.
to get the blessing,
Mm-hmm.
and then right after he leaves, Esav comes back and serves his father and says, Father, I want the blessing. He goes, who are you? He says, I'm your son, Esav. He goes, what are you talking about? He just left. He realizes he was deceived.
Mm-hmm.
Esav says, I'm going to kill my brother. His parents recognize that, and they send him away to his mother's family on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
or far away. They're apart for over 20 years. Now he leaves his father's-in-law's house with his 4 wives, 12 sons and a daughter, his
Mm-hmm.
whole caravan, and he's a rich man. And he's on his way back to his home. to his homeland. And he knows that Esau is going to meet him. And he finds out that Esau is going to meet him with 400 men. What's he thinking?
He's going to die.
He's going to die.
Mm-hmm.
That night, the night before, he sends his whole family over. He has a fight with what ends up being an angel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he realizes, or this is something that I've just come to realize recently, is he wasn't fighting with an angel per se. He was fighting with the demons within himself for the guilt he was feeling for what he had done.
Mm-hmm.
And now he had to face his father, his brother. And at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the fight, the angel hits him in the leg. And as a result, the Jews are not allowed to eat from that part unless certain things are done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The vein is taken out, the nerve and all that. And says,
Mm-hmm.
I'm changing your name from Jacob to Israel. Why? Because now he went from being Jacob, the deceiver, to his brother, to
Mm-hmm.
Israel, the leader of the nation.
Mm-hmm.
He's made that transition. He
Mm-hmm.
went from, he did his own self searching. I say that people become most self aware at their lowest time. This was his lowest time.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, he had to face his biggest fear, his brother.
Right.
And what
Exactly.
did he do? So he sent camps ahead of him with, this is from your servant Jacob, with gifts for him. Then another camp and another camp. This is from your servant Jacob. By the time they met,
Mm-hmm.
Esau was already softened up. He said, Jacob, thank you for all of these gifts you gave me. You didn't have to do it. I have plenty.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacob's answer is, it's my pleasure to give you. I have everything. And it comes out
Mm-hmm.
that the plenty is a mindset of lack, meaning I have a lot,
Okay.
but I want more.
Mm.
And Jacob says, I have everything. I have everything I need. And if more to come, fantastic. But I have everything. And that's the
Mm.
mindset shift that I want people to recognize. Go from, I don't have enough, or I have a lot, but I want more, to I have everything, and accepting it and moving forward.
Okay. Wow. You are really making some powerful statements. I really appreciate that. Okay. So you created it because of different events that occurred in your life, like with your brother and your divorce. And so give us an example of how you use it in your life,
Okay.
Martin.
So I think, and here's where I think it could become very helpful for your audience, the caregivers.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
One of the things I did was I learned how to build my emotional strength so that I was controlling my feelings instead of my feelings controlling me. Okay.
Awesome. Hmm.
And this is something I'll talk about now with you. And it's
Okay.
about, I took the word life and I broke it down into another breakdown for the acronym.
Okay.
Listen to your inner voice and acknowledge what you're feeling, right?
Hmm.
Emotions, so thoughts lead to emotions and feelings, which lead
Hmm.
to actions.
Correct.
So imagine if you have a thought and then it gets into the emotions and you go, emotions and feelings are different. Emotions are immediate,
Hmm.
feelings go deeper. Okay. Oh, I'm feeling sad. Well, what kind of sad are you feeling?
Okay.
Okay. And you get
Hmm.
deeper into it. Is it a strong sadness? Is it a light or medium sadness? I'm feeling anger. Well, what kind of anger? So listen to your inner voice and acknowledge that you're feeling this. Then identify your feelings. I listen to your emotional voice. I
Hmm.
identify those feelings. What kind of feelings?
Mm.
I have a chart. And for your guests here, they can email me at the end and I'll send them something as a free gift.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sure they would appreciate it.
Fantastic. So find out why is next. F, find out why. Question your feelings. Why am I feeling this right now? Right?
Right. Okay.
Cross examine yourself like you're in a courtroom and ask yourself, am I hurting myself? Is this feeling hurting me or helping me? Right?
Great
Why?
point.
Why?
Hmm.
And then E, engage in change, and take action.
I love
Right?
these acronyms,
Thank you.
Martin.
Right.
It's
So what do you do with
amazing.
the engage and change? You say,
Right.
what am I going to do right now to get out of this feeling I'm feeling? What am I going to
Mm,
do? Write it down. Do it. So this is, and I came up with this because I told you before, I was a nuclear reactor. So
hmm
I had to learn how to respond instead of react. And the book, The
Okay.
Four Agreements, took me a long way there. If you've ever read it by Don Miguel Ruiz,
I haven't, but
fantastic book.
I'm going to be reading it.
Fantastic book. Especially don't take anything personally.
That is so hard to do,
So now,
Martin.
right, of course it is. So now, how does this work for the caregivers? Right?
Right.
Every day, the caregivers have emotions of,
hmm
I can't do this. How am I going to get through this?
hmm
And rightfully so. They've been put into a situation where they have to take care of others, right? And they may forget to take care of themselves in the middle of this, which
hmm
I know you see very often in your work,
hmm
right? And they can't forget about themselves. It's that same adage as being on the airplane. Put the mask on you first before you put it on your child.
That's so true. That's a great example because I think we get so wrapped up in caring for someone that we start being frustrated and overwhelmed, and you begin to feel like that person is a burden instead of the person that you really love and want to care for, and not accept them for what they're able to do at any particular point. So, great advice.
So yeah,
Great.
so thank you. So that's what it is. It's about
hmm
recognizing when you're in that moment.
Right.
Take a moment,
hmm
listen to your inner voice and acknowledge that feeling you're feeling. Identify your feelings, find out why, question your feelings, and engage in change and take action.
I love that. So, first to listen, then identify the feeling, then figure out, find a way to
Find out
change it.
why.
Yeah,
Find
find
out
out
why.
why. Thank you. And then engage and then make change. Take
Exactly.
action to change. I love
Exactly.
it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, how can this help, like the caregiver, with their relationships, especially with the one that they're caring for in a moment where they're totally exhausted and overwhelmed?
Well, it's at that moment that if they're listening to us now, they're going to go, wait a minute, I remember that guy talking about it. Okay. Now we've
hmm
made them aware of it.
Okay.
Okay. Now they can go and say, What did he say? How can I use this now? Let me take a moment for myself right here, even if it's just stopping in the moment this
hmm
time, and then build on that for the next time and build on it more for the next time and write it down. Write it down. And, that's what I was talking about. I'll put together that they get a chart with the emotions and the feelings
hmm
and a worksheet so that they can write down their feelings. Write down and go through the
Mm.
exercise on L.I.F.E.
Oh, that would be really helpful. I mean, to have it right in front of you, and when you're at that point where you're about ready to go nuclear, as you had mentioned, is a way to step back and really check why you're feeling a certain way.
Right.
Definitely. Um, so what do you mean by mindset? I have an idea of what mindset is, but can you define it first, and then what that entails for like a caregiver in terms of changing how they're reacting to the person that they're caring for?
Right. That's a great question. Nobody's ever asked me that before. So that's a good one. For me, mindset is a state of mind.
Mhm.
Okay. It's
Okay.
how you show up in your mind. How are you going to wake up in the morning and say, what does the day bring to me? It could bring me problems or it
Mhm.
can bring me opportunities.
Okay.
One of my mentors, her name is Genevieve Davis, writes these books on magic
Okay.
and it's called Becoming Magic. And if you go to her website, the first book you can download for free. That's how great she is. And she says, the world is as you see it. If you see it as downtrodden and sad and problematic, then that's what it is. But if
Hmm.
you see it as opportunistic and happy and wonderful, that's what it is. So a
Hmm.
mindset is letting your mind, teaching your mind to look for all the good in everything around you.
Oh, definitely. I think that's great. I mean, and it would really apply to a caregiver because the person that they're caring for may be doing something that is offensive or really challenging, and looking at instead of looking at the behavior, looking at the person and understanding why they're behaving that way.
Right. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Do you have a different interpretation for mindset?
Um, no, it's like like you said, it's like creating um a way of thinking that's really positive and engaging and empowers you, I guess, to
Right.
help someone else when you're
Yes.
feeling like you can't give anymore.
Exactly. So you know what? Let's be honest with right here. And can you
Okay.
be in a 100% positive mindset all the time?
No,
No, you can't.
you can't.
And we're
No.
not looking for perfection. We're looking for progress.
Oh, great point. Yes. Progress to move where you're at
Exactly.
and
Because you're
move it
going to have your
closer to
down
100.
days. And you know, in this chart, in this thing, I want people to understand I'm not telling them not to have their feelings. I'm telling them to have their feelings and acknowledge them and
Hmm.
then figure out what to do about it.
That's the part that caregivers need to do, especially when they're really stressed out.
Frustrated.
Yeah, we're frustrated. Exactly. Caring for their raising a family and working full time and um, doing their best to help their parent or grandparent. So it can be incredibly enormous task to really do all three things at once and trying to
Right.
be, not like you said, not perfect, but just making progress in each of those areas. Um, it seems like another full-time job.
Right. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Okay. I know you mentioned abundance and lack. So can we go into that a little deeper in
Sure.
terms of, um, because that really centers around the mindset. So
Right. Right.
go right
So
ahead.
yeah, it's easy and it's hard.
Mhm.
Okay. It's easy to say it, but it's hard to really have it happen. And it's about speaking the words correctly. You could either say, for example, I can't afford to do this.
Mhm.
That's lack.
Right.
Or you can say, how can I afford to do this? That's giving you the abundance.
Right. It was just like that example that you said that you were going to do that wellness center with your wife and you had
Right.
all those
Exactly.
investors,
Right.
and it wasn't anything to do with you. It was just the economy crashed.
Yeah.
But you were looking for abundance because you were looking to make something um meaningful out of that.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the beginning of understanding the difference between lack and abundance. It's I have to versus I choose to,
Mm,
right?
big
I have to
difference.
go to the supermarket. I can't believe I have to do this.
Right.
Or I get to go to the supermarket. I get to go out, especially if you're a caregiver, because look at the person that you're taking care of. They don't get to do what you get to do.
Oh, that's a really good point. They don't because of COVID. You're right. Hmm.
Yeah. So it's just about changing the mindset, the words that you use, reframing it so that you can be positive about it. It's hard. It is hard. But if you work at it
Hmm.
a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, a little bit, it becomes compound effect.
Okay.
You're compounding on top of it so that you're building that muscle, you're building that habit to get
Hmm.
to be at that point that you can think that way.
That's really good advice, is just do it a little bit at a time. notice that, listen to what you're feeling and how you can make it a change in the way you're thinking about what you have to do or about taking care of someone can really make the difference
Right.
of having.
You know the old saying, inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard.
Thank you. I'm going to come to you for all these acronyms. Yes, well, it is.
That's it. Take baby steps, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time.
Well, see, that's not my mindset. I want to go from A to D in one huge leap.
Me too. That was the old me. It's like, okay, I got this book. Can I read the last page? Like, what? Why do you want to read the last page? Don't you want to be on the journey? Don't you want to go through it and understand the journey to get to the last page?
Well, you are coming up with some brilliant examples. Thank you for picking those out. All right. So tell us how the Warrior's Life Code has helped you and your clients.
Okay. So it's helped me in the fact that I went from being Martin 1.0 to Martin 2.0. I went from being a nuclear reactor to a responder. Okay. I don't react anymore. 95% of the time. Can I say 100%? No, we said already we can't say 100%.
Right.
Watch me in the car. My wife gets crazy from me when I'm in the car. She's like, I don't understand. You could do it everywhere else, but you get in the car and you become a different person. Like, okay, I'll work on that. But so the old me would have never been able to find a woman like I did. And let me tell you how that happened. So I've now gone through this change. Okay. I now like myself and love myself. So I start dating. And as I'm dating, I'm interviewing the woman, without them even knowing they're being interviewed. And what am I trying to do? Trying to learn what are their values and are they aligned with my values? Because one of the biggest things I've realized was that my values and my first wife's values were completely different from when we were children, from when we were married in the 20s. But we were getting married for the wrong reasons. Okay. Because we both wanted to be in love. Okay. But now I realized we were codependent and our values were completely different. That's not to say she had bad values, I had good values. We had different values. Okay. And I'm not blaming her. This is my way of looking at the marriage. Okay. You may talk to her and get something totally different. But so I went on these dates and I started to interview the girls, the women on the date in a way of just talking to them and getting to know about them. And then I'm inside my head, I'm making a checklist. And most of them, after 2 dates, I knew, okay, there's nothing there for me. Now I'm doing this for about 3, 4, 5 years. I get a call from a woman in my community, and there's an organization in our community. I come from a small, modern Orthodox Jewish community in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Everybody knows everybody, close knit. And she calls me and she says, I have someone for you. She just signed up for our organization. And I thought of you. You have to take her out. I'm like, okay, I trust you. I know you forever. I trust you.
Right.
We go out on the date and there's something that clicks. We go out again and it's there and I'm feeling it. A month into the relationship, I turned to her. I said, I have to tell you something. And I need to tell it to you for you. And for me, but I don't need to hear it back. I just want you to know where I am. And I told her, I love you. She was taken back. I said, you don't have to answer me. I just want you to know that in you, I see all of the values that I'm looking for. Does that mean I need you to tell me? No. I just want you to know I see those values in you. 2 weeks later, she came back to me and she said, I love you too.
Wow.
2 years later, we got married. And we've been married for 3.5 years.
Congratulations to both you and your wife.
Thank you.
So it seems like it did help.
It did.
Making those changes in your life and building your life code in order to have this marriage where you both are in sync with one another.
Right. And Are we always in sync? No. But we are able to talk things out when we're not in sync and figure out how to make it work for either one of us.
Mhm.
Right. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Can you give us an example? You gave us a great example about your life. Can you give us
An
some
example.
information about a client that you've
Sure.
had that's where
Absolutely.
it's made a change,
Absolutely. Let me pull something up here from
like
somebody.
Roberta or something?
Well, I'll give you somebody else because we already talked
Ok-
about Roberta.
Yes, we
So
did.
I'll give you someone else. I'll talk about Josh.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Josh is somebody I met about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I met him in a very interesting way. I met his sister who on a networking call, and
Mm-hmm.
we liked what each other was had to offer. So we started talking. And as we started talking, I realized, okay, she's got some things I need. Help me put my programs together. Help me figure out my message to get it down correctly and understand who my audience is and understand
Mm-hmm.
what my mission statement is and all that stuff. And I met her brother along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And he started listening to the things I was talking about. He goes, you know what? I think I'd like for you to coach me. Like, okay.
Mm.
So this is what Josh said. When I
Okay.
started with this program, I was ready to give up all hope of having a happy life. I thought this was
Mm.
my last shot, and that if this didn't work, I would just give up and become a tool for other people's happiness. I didn't understand that I had internal limiting beliefs and rational lies
Eyes.
that were keeping me tied to my old way of thinking. What happened since starting the program with Martin is I've gained positive clarity on life. I've
Mm.
accepted my own power and choice. I've taken responsibility for my choices and let go of those choices that were not mine. I've decided to live in abundance and gratitude. Because of those changes that Martin taught me, I'm happier, I have better relationships, and I have more clients because I am being my real positive self. Looking back, all I wanted was hope that I could start to heal. Needless to say, I have it now.
That is so powerful. Oh my goodness. Yes, we caregivers and everyone need to get rid of those limiting beliefs, get
Mhm.
out of the lack mindset and live abundantly. Listen, um, all of those wonderful identify, find out what the reasons why you're doing that, feeling that way, and yes, educate and examine and act on a better
Right,
behavior, better
right, right, right.
mindset. Wow, that's incredible. You have offered so many incredible nuggets here today. I want to thank you for that. Are you have any final thoughts that could help caregivers with this life code?
Yeah. So what I'd like to do is tell them
Hmm.
that the way you want to be perceived
Hmm.
starts with how you perceive yourself.
Oh my gosh. Yes, definitely. Wow,
Right.
that is very powerful.
So if you perceive yourself as a powerful, loving caregiver who has the ability to help others,
Hmm.
that is who you will be. And that's who you can become.
I love it. Well, you have certainly taken your warrior life code and made it really specific for caregivers. You've said it so succinctly. Um, yes, it depends on how you want to show up. Will make the difference in the type and the quality of the caregiving that you will be doing for the person that you're caring for.
Right, right,
Awesome.
right. So you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to offer you, and I'll get you the link for this.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Hmm.
What I'd like to offer is a copy for your audience, I told them I was going to give them the worksheet and
Yes.
the chart. But
Hmm.
instead of that, I'm going to give them a little more.
Oh,
I'm going to give
great.
them
Thank you.
a copy of my webinar on this subject so that they can listen to
Wow.
it again from the beginning to the end. It's about 40 something minutes long.
Hmm.
Okay. And as well, in that same link that I'll get to you
Hmm.
will be links to click on the work, those pages, to
Hmm.
download them and read it as they're going along. Because as I'm saying it in the webinar, because it's a
Hmm.
recorded webinar,
Hmm.
they'll hear me say, if you stay till the end, you'll get this gift. So I'm telling to them now, they're going to get the gift right now. They're going to get the webinar and the download of those things. All they need to do is click on the link, say, yes, I want it, and so on and so forth, opt into it. And then they'll get that.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing.
And then at the bottom of that, there'll also be a link if they want to have a free 30-minute conversation with me, breakout session on how they can go even further.
Wow. That is amazing. Thank you for all of those gifts. And I hope many caregivers reach out to you so that they can make those changes in their mindset.
Well, I have to say thank you to you, Mary Elaine. You are hitting a very important section of the world of people who need to understand that they are loved
Mm-hmm.
and they deserve to be loved and that the work that they're doing is recognized. So thank
Right.
you for opening the doors
Mm.
that they can see that they are not forgotten.
Thank you so much for that. I really understand what they're going through. I've been a caregiver for both my parents, and I know that every caregiving journey is different, but I really would like to provide services like yours, mindset training, just so that they can have a more rewarding caregiving experience instead of looking at it as a burden or something that they don't want to do.
Right.
So thank you so much, Martin. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me on your program. It's been a pleasure being with you.
Thank you so much. You have given such powerful words of wisdom. So thank you very much for that.